Hey there, my friends, and welcome to this free segment, this free edition of Ask Spencer's Views. And this is a segment on my podcast where my subscribers can ask me a question, anything from politics to pop culture, philosophy, spirituality, craziness, seriousness, whatever they want to ask, and I will answer it. Sorry about all the laundry in the background. I'm going on a marathon here. We're trying to catch up on all the laundry moving into our new home. This question comes from Christine R., and she writes, I have a situation. Would like your thoughts on it. So follow along here, folks, and kind of talk out loud if you'd like how you would answer this question as well. My only child will be 18 in January. He started his first job about 3 weeks ago, working at an outbound call center. Last night he comes home and tells me that he reported a 24-year-old woman, a peer, for something pretty horrifying. She asked him to come back to her home for the night and for drugs, specifically cocaine. He said he tried to deflect in case it was a joke and because he was uncomfortable, and said he only likes Pepsi. He reported her to his manager and to HR, although it seems like at least the manager tried to deter him from that. As a parent, I'm proud of him, but also kind of worried, a worried mess all day today while he's at work, wondering if he's at risk of bodily harm. I'm trying not to be a helicopter parent as a Gen X mom. He's wondering if he should have also reported her to the police, and I didn't really have an answer for him. I think I'd actually like to hear Sarah's opinion on this. I mean, as a parent, I feel like really I ought to go kick her ass, right? Not really something in my character. I'd like to ask him to quit and find another job, but people like this exist everywhere. The other bad part is that this woman has a child. Why couldn't he just get a job at Culver's? Now, one of my other subscribers, John Emery, who will remain nameless, he chimed in. From my office culture experience, I can tell you patience is a virtue, and you are only getting his version of what happened. Not saying he isn't being truthful, but if you jump to calling the cops, it can escalate things at his job far too quickly for no reason. He did the right thing by talking to his boss and HR, so the best he can do is just keep doing his job as well as he can and try to ignore the offending coworker. Kicking her ass wouldn't do much but give her a reason to call the cops on you. If she's as messed up as that allegation indicates, she probably won't be there long anyway. Good luck and hang in there. Now, as of a few hours later, Christine wrote back, all I know so far is the woman isn't at work today, and he's the second man there to be propositioned, but at least the other person wasn't a 17-year-old boy. He has 2 more hours left in his shift. Now, his shift has long since ended, according to this post. It's now 9:05 p.m. Pacific time as I do this video. So, Christine, I did talk to Sarah. She wishes you well on this. She does not want to come on camera again. She doesn't want to do the podcast again, and I don't blame her. She wants to stay as private as possible, and that's the way to go. I'm the one who chose this crazy career. I'm the one who chose to be in the limelight, and the insanity and all the circus stuff going on, and the good and the bad and the ugly. She didn't choose that, so she's not going to answer directly, and I don't blame her. She doesn't want to do this as a podcast and turn it into something else. But she said, you did everything right. Your son did everything right. You gave your son the tools growing up, not just surrounding this, but you obviously gave him the right tools where he knew what to do here. I think that's what I would have advised my own children to do, is to go to HR, to go to their boss and say, hey, this is unacceptable behavior. The fact that the woman wasn't at work today, that could be a wild coincidence, but I think maybe she was dealt with. You can't do that. You can't, in a professional environment, come on to somebody. I don't care, and she and I talked about this. He's 17. He's just shy of being a legal consenting adult. If he were 18, this would be totally, totally out of your realm. Be totally, totally outside of your grasp to do anything, whether you're a helicopter parent or not. He'd be an adult. He's just shy of being an adult. He's this close to being an adult. There's nothing really you could do. If you went to the cops, what would the cops do? We've tried calling the cops for far worse things. I mean, no offense, but far worse things, and the cops did absolutely nothing. They say their hands are tied. They can't do anything. If every parent called a cop whenever somebody came on to their minor son, the cops wouldn't be able to do anything else. They'd be paralyzed. They'd be just on patrol going after I don't want to say cougar, but cougars like this, older men, older women preying on younger girls and younger boys, that's all they'd be able to do. I think if he were 13 years old and she came on to him, it would be a far different story, even in the eyes of the law. But he's just shy of being 18 years old. And at 18, it would be out of your jurisdiction anyway. You've done what you can. You've given him seemingly the right tools growing up to deal with things like this. And this is exactly how most people would have handled it, I think. Most mature people would have handled it. And you couldn't ask for anything more from your son. Your son handled it without you getting involved. I don't really understand the whole bodily harm thing. Bodily harm from the woman, like the woman would hurt him, or her boyfriend would come to work and beat him up after work. I don't really understand the whole bodily harm thing. I don't think he's at risk of bodily harm at all. And the fact that this woman wasn't at work today, well, it's Friday. Maybe she was taking a 3-day weekend anyway, and it was pre-planned. I don't know. Or something happened and HR talked to her and she got fired, or she was too embarrassed and she quit, or something like that happened. I don't think you need to worry about the well-being of your son. I think your son showed great maturity here and did what we would hope most mature 17-year-olds would do in this situation. So I commend him. I commend you. You've obviously done something right. He got these tools from somebody, presumably you. So that's the best you can do. Sarah agrees with that. He did the right thing. There's not much more that could have been done. I agree with John Emery that calling the cops, the kicking her ass would have given her reason to call the cops. You wouldn't get away with assaulting the woman for doing this. And hopefully she's out of the picture. We would want our children to consider a different job, but at this age, like if they were 16 years old, maybe. He's almost 18 years old. He has to make that decision up for himself. I don't know if he's on the younger end of 17 or the older end of 17. Sarah and I talked about it. And you do, before he's 18, have the power to say, you know what, I don't want you working at this place anymore. You will not work at this place anymore. You are my son. You are a minor. You're not 18 years of age yet, and I'm going to decide this for you. This is too volatile a situation. It's too dangerous. It's too predatory. You're not going back to this job on Monday. You do have the power to do that. I think your son has handled it. Maybe this woman, keep me posted. I'm curious to know what happens here. If the woman's going to be at work the next time she's supposed to clock in, if this is all a pre-scheduled vacation and time off, or if she was dealt with in a disciplinary fashion from HR and from the boss. So there you have it. Christine, thank you very much. And to the rest of you, this is a segment I call Ask Spencer's Views. I don't like, this one's kind of borderline, Christine, I have to admit. I don't like giving advice like this because I'm not a trained professional. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a law enforcement officer. This is just strictly my opinion to you, and I think it was handled well in this case. But ask me any question at all, from the paranormal to the political, my thoughts on any particular subject, maybe one I've never ever brought up on the radio or in the podcast. Could be anything. When you are a patron, you are a subscriber, you can send me private messages and ask me a question. This is a segment that normally would be available for all paid subscriptions, where I would show this video to every tier. There are some pieces of content that only go to certain tiers, like the $20 a month tier, the $100 a month tier, the $10 a month tier, $2 a month tier, whatever it happens to be. This segment goes to everybody. Okay, and in this case, it went to everybody here on social media, so it's free for you this time. So sign up if you'd like, my friends. Patreon.com/Spencer Hughes. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And again, thanks, Christine. Best of luck to you. Please keep me posted on the side as to what happens if this woman comes back to the workplace, how your son's dealing with it, and if he's okay. I'm really genuinely interested. Thanks, everybody.